There are two stories. The first is about that great Sufi sheikh who was on a pilgrimage with a number of his followers, and he was wearing the common patchwork robe of the wandering dervish. When they came to a small town, there was a marketplace and a town square. But just as they were coming into town, the sheikh was accosted by a young man who said to him, "I've heard about you dervish Sufis. You know, you say they're fakirs and magicians, but I think they're frauds and charlatans." And he went on to abuse the sheikh. And the sheikh just listened quietly while the young man finished his tirade. And then the Sufi sheikh took off his finger a ring, and he handed it to the young man, and he said, "Over there is the flea market. Take this ring and ask the vendors how much they will give you for it." So the young man went off, and when he came back, he told the sheikh that the vendors only offered him a few copper coins for his ring. And then the sheikh said, "Down at the corner of the square, there's a jeweler shop. Take the ring and ask the jeweler there how much he will give you for it." And so the young man went off, and when he came back, he had a look of great surprise on his face. He said, "I took the ring to the jeweler, and the jeweler said that the stone was of inestimable worth, and he would not have the money to pay or purchase it." And the Sufi sheikh said, "Young man of infinite possibilities, learn a lesson from this. If you want to know the value of a gem, become a jeweler. If you want to know the value of Sufidom, become a Sufi." Then there's a young man by the name of Dov, and he went to apprentice himself to a jeweler who worked with diamonds. But he was with the jeweler for 2 years, and the jeweler never taught him anything. All he did was have him sweep the floor of the workshop and to sharpen the tools. And one day Dov said to the jeweler, "Well, when are you going to teach me to polish and cut diamonds?" And the diamond merchant took a ring in which was set a diamond, and he said, "Look at this." And he used the diamond to etch his initials on a piece of glass. And he said, "When your mind becomes as sharp as this diamond, you'll be ready to become a diamond designer." And the jeweler said, "This ring I've made for the wealthiest merchant in town. Take it and deliver it to him. But be careful, because this diamond is worth more than you can earn in a lifetime." So Dov very carefully put the ring in a little leather pouch, and he put it inside his cloak. And he waited. He waited until it was dusk time, and making sure that the coast was clear, so to speak, he set out for the merchant's house. But unbeknownst to him, he'd been being watched by a thief. And when he hadn't gotten too far, the thief accosted him and said, "I know you work for that jeweler, and I know you've got something valuable. Give it to me. Well, Dove looked at this man, and he wasn't too big and he wasn't too brawny. So Dove said, well, what can you do? Who are you? And the thief took out 2 pistols. Said, I've got these, now hand it over. So Dove took the leather pouch and gave it to the thief. And the thief was about to go off, and Dove said, wait, 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 not so fast. What am I going to tell my boss about this? You have to do something. And the thief laughed. And he said, what do you want me to do? Shoot you? And Dove said, no, no, just shoot my coat. So the thief readily agreed to this, and he shot holes in Dove's coat. And then Dove handed his hat, and now my hat. And so the thief shot holes in his hat. And then Dove said, well, now shoot my bag. But when the thief went to fire the pistols, there were no bullets left. So Dove, seeing this man who was somewhat smaller than he and all, of course, tossed the pistols out of the thief's hand and grabbed back the diamond, the pouch with the diamond in it. Now, the thief ran away, and Dove didn't chase him. He went on to deliver the diamond ring to the rich merchant. And then he went back to his employer and told him the whole story. And the employer said, don't worry about your coat and your hat. A smart fellow like you deserves a new coat and a new hat. And Dove said, well, how smart am I? And the boss said, why? I think you're as smart as a diamond. And then he started to teach him how to work with valuable stones. What do you see as the similarity between these 2 stories? Remembering that we're still asking these 3 questions. What is it that happens when stillness and movement meet? What is your relationship with life now? And the other question is, what is this nature of emptiness? We've been exploring it over these days. And on Tuesday we had some very interesting discussion about it, an interesting exchange. What is it for you that brings similarity to these 2 stories?
Knowing about the value of things but not being attached.
Yes, it certainly is that.
And having no fear, and still things happen and it goes on, and,
Yes.
and it's alright.
Mm-hmm.
And no emotional attachment to it.
All right. Exactly so. Exactly so. So we do recognize that indeed, in the coming together of those three levels of life, we can recognize right here that we do have that street smarts, so-called. We do know the nitty-gritty very well. We can read body language and the signs that are physical. Intuitively, we can feel what's going on in the electromagnetic field. And on that level of oneness, we can be that object or that being, so that there's not a sense of separation. But when we have these three together, this state of Satchitananda, and we have this presence, finding ourselves absolutely present. So we're in a state of quiescence, receptivity, stillness, and those three are working in our life. When we talk about this diamond, and the mind being as sharp as a diamond, what does it mean? What is it that happens when that stillness and the movement that involves those three levels of perception, what happens? What is it that's there? What is it that's present? When they meet. Discernment, absolutely discernment, yes. Yes. But what's happened to your mind now in the moments? What's happened to your mind? Has it not become as sharp as a diamond in its presence, in its acuity, in its awareness? Certainly it comes with the territory. Certainly it does. We are alert, we are present, we are attentive, we are receptive. And what is it that's all of these things? The mind. The mind. Let the stories work in their own way as they do, remembering that the questions still remain to be answered. What is it that's present when stillness and movement meet? Life.
Present.
Damn right. Damn right. Presence. And what is it that has presence?
I think it's the heart, not the mind. I don't think it's the mind
You
because
too?
that doesn't function at all.
All right. Let the stories do their work. Let's see what arises from them. Recognizing that it can only be from our own experience that we can answer these questions.